morning, YouTube family. Welcome to another Two Family Homestead live stream. Woo!
Hi, I'm Colby.
I'm Misty, and this is
Aiden.
Harley. Eliza. Saber.
This is Jennings, and we are
The Max.
And welcome to our channel.
We hope you're enjoying our channel. Here on our homestead, we have dairy cattle, beef cattle, hogs, pigs, laying hens, meat birds, and we are also beekeepers.
Along with all the animals, we also do a lot of gardening. We have in-ground gardens, hugelkultur beds, other raised beds, and our greenhouses.
In our home, Christ comes first, and homeschooling is also very important in our family.
We love being part of this homestead community, and we love to share with what we're doing here and also learn from others. Thanks for watching.
Happy homesteading, y'all. Along with the
I know. What's it called? In-ground. In-ground gardens.
and
It's Monday Night Live, right?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I need to make sure that he has my sound on. So if everybody can hear me, let me know. I'm trying to look at the chat and be ready. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Okay. So anyway, we were just talking with our guests, and we were talking about dogs and how that we took Smudge to get his shots today. Everybody knows Smudge is a little tiny ankle biter, right? Just a little tiny thing. And he gets into the back of the truck with no problem. He loves to go away. He gets very upset with us if we go away and he's not going. So, okay. Thank you, Cecilia. We were telling them that the first time that we took him on a camping trip with us in the camper, we had the girls with us last year. I think we were going to Michigan, to the Hootenanny. Yeah, because we went to the Hootenanny, and then the following week was Missouri.
Okay.
That's when we took the girls. So we took Smudge, and I got him in the camper, and he was fine because he thought he was going in the truck. No, Smudge. So we walked around the truck, went in the camper. We have a kennel in the camper for him. And I open up the door of the kennel, and he's looking at me like, I ain't getting in there. Half an hour Daryl and I spent, and I could pick up his front paws, put him up on like the ledge where his kennel was, but we couldn't get his tush in. We couldn't lift him up and get the rest of him in to the kennel. He was like a donkey. And I had a piece of bologna. I was throwing bologna in there, and he just wasn't having anything to do with it. So half an hour later, I went out truck, and I go, Kaylee, come here. Now, Kaylee's a 10-year-old. What? I says, come here. She came in the camper. I gave her a piece of bologna. I says, you need to get in the corner of the kennel. She goes, what? I says, you need to get in the corner. And she stares at me. So here's this skinny little kid crawling into the kennel with this piece of bologna, and I'm hysterical, thinking, I need to get a video. And then I'm thinking, no, I'd have CPS on my butt real fast. So then as soon as Smudge realized not only is Kaylee in the kennel, which was cool, but Kaylee had a piece of bologna, Smudge went right in, and I said, okay, get out. we did that 3 times, and Smudge ever since then went in by himself. So, yeah, get yourself one of your kids, get him a piece of bologna, and your great pair will go into the vehicle.
And if none of your kids are small enough, grab one of the neighbors.
Yeah. One never knows. So we went to Mississippi to grab these guests, and they're sweltering down there. So we're going to bring them up to Ohio where it's not so hot.
Not so hot?
Not so hot. Isn't that funny, Grammy Karen? It's like, yeah, watching him was hysterical. And he's thinking, you're stupid because I'm not getting in that thing.
Okay.
He did.
Well, here they be. Say hi to the Max.
There they are.
They can talk.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
So I have a question. How did the name the Max come about?
Well, it's actually our name is actually longer and probably harder to understand. So that's kind of the short version of our last name. So we're the Max based on our last name.
Okay.
Thank you, Be Ready. I appreciate that. That'll go for his snacks for the next trip.
I didn't know if that was something that had carried over from maybe high school days or.
It really hadn't. For some reason, we just always kind of stuck with it. Our last name could be kind of long, and drawn out. So we just decided to shorten it and make it a little bit more catchy, hopefully.
Okay. Well, we actually first met you guys in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And folks, I got to tell you, in the middle of the night in a campground, these young kids came pulling in, and that motorhome of yours was not the quietest. I mean, it had a rumble to it.
No, it did.
It was huge too.
We sold Old Bessie. Old Bessie is no longer with us, but after that trip, that was about it. I think that was our last trip. We went to a campground close, but that was our last big trip we went on.
And they pull in. I mean, it's the entire campground is kind of rumbling as they go by. They pull in. They get these lights out, and then all of a sudden, one head comes out, then another one. And all of a sudden, there are kids everywhere.
5 to be exact.
Yeah, and they haven't stopped there.
That's right.
That's not. That's not number.
I'm looking around. I didn't know if it was just every kid in the campground was, but no, it was all coming out of the motorhome there. But no, it's a wonderful young couple from down in southern Mississippi. Mm-hmm. On about 400 acres down there, I'm told.
I wish.
Now, your place is what? How big is it?
We're roughly around 35 acres. We have about a 5 to 6 acre lake on that, so about 30 acres that we're actually farming on. Some of that is pine thicket, but the rest we pretty much have our homestead and farm on.
Well, I know down there in southern Mississippi, there's a lot of pine trees that there's a lot of pine growth, I guess. I don't know any other way to say it. It looks like a bunch of telephone poles brewing.
It is. It's actually probably too much. We've seen a lot of Mississippi farmland turn into pine thickets, which, that's a part of it if you don't have cows and things like that. So as we go, our timber gets taller, we cut it, and hopefully it'll be some more pastures for our cows.
I see. So how long have you been in Mississippi there?
We're from Mississippi, kind of in our area that we live in now.
Both born and raised here.
That's right. And we've lived here, how long?
On our property now. This summer was 6 years.
So we've been here for 6 years making this homestead. We've really
started from scratch.
Yeah,
it was raw. Everything was raw wood when we moved in.
It was actually a pine thicket, just an underbrush pine thicket. It was just unbelievable. And it's amazing where it's come from in the last 6 years.
So, but you have some property in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
We do. We have a property in Tennessee. We love Tennessee. Our heart is Tennessee, but of course our farm is here. So we've maintained our Mississippi roots with our family. But East Tennessee is a very special place too. So we try to go up there when we can and when we get a farm sitter.
So you said East Tennessee, is that over in the area of Single Dad homesteading?
It is. It's actually last time we went up, we got to meet with Chris and see him, and he came over and ate and fellowshipped. But we're about an hour and a half from where his location is. So we have property there.
We have a rental cabin that sits really in the heart of Pigeon Forge. So
Right.
place where you just cannot get any more beautiful,
Yeah,
in our opinion.
yeah, it's very pretty there. It sure is. So, how did you come about that in Tennessee with being born and raised where you're at, and that's where your homestead is? I mean, that's not like it's around the corner.
It's not. I would say.
Well, Colby's family has vacationed there for
years.
We've been together through our dating years and everything for over 15 years, and for as long as we have been together, his family has vacationed there at least once a year, most of the time 2 times a year. So even growing up, because we were high school sweethearts, so even growing up, we would take family vacations with his family there and spend weeks there at a time, throughout the year. So that really just like become a second home to us. And we loved it so much, we began to look for property, and several years ago, we happened to come across a property that just kind of was just meant for us, because we had looked for several years, and then finally what we were kind of looking for come about. So it was just a blessing.
We love the outdoors, and the Smoky Mountains to me is beautiful. We love
Very naturistic.
Yeah, we love nature trails up there. Just the waterfalls, everything is so beautiful.
So you have quite a bit of property up there too?
We don't. We actually have it's mostly in the city there.
Okay.
We have 2 lots there. So
But it
it's about an
allows
acre and a half.
us to be able to get away and go
Right.
when we can get a farm sitter. Now, the biggest thing for us in the past, we could usually just drop everything we wanted, go spend a weekend up there. But now that we have our dairy girls, that's not quite as easy because we don't have milkers around here. So that throws a little bit of a kink into our whenever we want to drop stuff and go. But it was a sacrifice that we were willing to make for the benefits of having our girls.
So,
Yeah.
and you've now mentioned that you've got some dairy cattle. What kind of livestock do you have on your property down there? Just kind of give us a rundown here.
Oh my gosh! So we have dairy
A
cattle.
whole farm.
We milk 2 cows every morning. Then we have, of course, their calves. We have some beef cattle that sits on this farm here. Most of the beef that sits on this farm is for our feeders. That would be the ones we take to slaughter. We also have some beef cows at another piece of property, a pine thicket that we own. And then we have sheep. We have bees. We're beekeepers. We have pigs. We have 2 sets of pigs. We have American guinea hog. And then, of course, our feeder pigs that we use are Berkshires. Chickens, I can't even begin to count how many chickens we have. Between the meat
Turkeys and
chickens
ducks.
and the layers. And then we have the ducks, the turkeys. Is that it?
I think so.
And a bunch of kids. So that's the rest of the,
Yeah.
that's the rest of the
We can
livestock.
count them too.
Sure, go ahead here. I'm getting the phone ready.
Oh, you getting the phone ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Max are the real deal. Exactly, Ridge Life. You got that right. Yep. Yep.
Hey,
We
Tim.
enjoyed our time
Yeah,
with
Tim came
Ridge
and
Life
visited
as
us, so
well.
it was great to see him.
Sean in Alaska is asking for a slider update, please.
Okay. So our little calf, if y'all watched any of our videos lately, we had a calf that was on a beef cow of my dad's, and because we have our dairy cows, like Misty says, we're able to utilize them as nurse cows for calves that cows won't take. So we had a cow that did not take a calf, and we thought the calf was gonna die. Actually, we brought it here pretty much to.
She was on her deathbed that night.
So we were able to nurse her back with bottle feeding, some of our dairy milk, and then eventually she got up and going. So now she is running, playing. she's got a new adopted mama,
Awesome.
one of our dairy cows, and so she's doing phenomenal, Shauna Alaska. She's actually becoming a very difficult calf, like typically calves are.
When they become stubborn, they're doing good.
That's right. She is there. She is there.
Yep. Just like a kid, just like the two-legged ones.
That's right.
Yeah, just like the two-legged ones. Yep.
But she's doing really good. Really good.
So, how much milk do your cows afford you on a daily basis, average, would you say?
On a daily basis, we register anywhere from 3.5 to 4 gallons. We were actually registering right at 4. Now, with us having the little calf on one of our dairy cows, I'd say 2.5 to 3 is common now. So we're
close to 3.
That's right.
And that's calf sharing with Slider. Of course, sharing milk with Elsa.
Absolutely.
Okay, and folks, I've got the phone lines opened up here. If anybody would like to call in and say hello directly, ask them questions, whatever you might like to do here. The numbers are scrolling across the top of the screen. You do have to put in a meeting ID and a password. And that's simply because how crazy things have gotten on the internet here as of late.
Fancy Farmer is asking if you have named the calf yet.
All right, so we're obsessive compulsive, so we name our cows A through Z, and that's pretty much how we've named all our cows. This calf is actually not our calf. We kind of adopted it just to feed it for the time being.
Right. We have a herd that is with his dad's herd on their property.
Our beef cows, if y'all have seen those videos.
And this was his dad's cow that would not take her baby. So when we got to their property that day and realized she's not feeding her baby and her baby's about to die, we loaded the calf up in the back of the SUV and brought her home and force-fed her for several days until she was able to recover.
So my dad names all his cows after his grandchildren, and so he takes nicknames off of them. So the calf's name is actually Addie. I think it's named after, I don't know which one it's named after. Aiden. So it's named after our son in some way, I guess, but the calf's name is Addie.
Cool. Daryl, prep studying with Nana Bend is asking. She asked if we had masks to sell. I told her that we have the ones that I sew and the ones that we print on.
Yes.
Do you have one of the ones that we print on handy?
I have one that was for.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go get one.
Get that. Prep studying with Nana Bender will show you the kind that we can print on. If you have like a logo, we can put logos on these, or if you want a material one, those I sew. The ones I sew are $5, and these other ones are
they're $10.
$10.
And these have a pocket that you can put a filter in them.
Brett, anything you want printed on the mask, we'll print it. So,
anything.
Just let you know. Hey, Dutch. What? Oh, okay. That's going to be backwards. But this is, in fact, Dutch just walked in. Paul from Off Grid in Holland. He had his 1,000 giveaway, and we made masks for him. So if you want a logo printed on a mask or anything else printed on it, we can do that.
Yeah, we have no qualms about putting on whatever you would like. COVID has done that to us.
Yeah, really.
So speaking of that, how are things down in Mississippi in your area?
I would say there's two ways that people look at it. Wouldn't you say? There's two extremes. We have the ones who believe solely in the mask and believe solely in the dangers of COVID, which of course we understand too, that are full throttle COVID. Wouldn't you imagine? And they take the precautions very, very seriously. And then we have a major group of I guess I would say the Mississippi rednecks, and that might even encase us too. But I think that you see a lot of people sometimes not take it as serious. So it's very extreme opposites. Would you say that? I don't know if anybody's really middle ground.
Yeah, well, I have seen some people post on Facebook that instead of making such a big deal out of the mask thing here, like respect other people's decisions. If you're wearing the mask and you believe it protects you, then you wear the mask. If you don't want to wear the mask, then that's your decision. That's your personal decision. But I do think we've seen like two total extremes. Right. Kind of where we live. There's a few kind of in the middle ground that said kind of like what I was talking about, where some people say, look, if you want to wear the mask, wear them. If you don't, then don't. But don't judge people that, do or don't. Just do what you feel comfortable for yourself. But there's not very many that are in that boat.
6 months ago, if you walked into a bank wearing a mask like that,
you would have had the cops on you.
You had some problems.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely.
Yep.
But now it's expected
Yeah.
and demanded.
Ridge Life. Don't this young couple look too well rested and put together to have 5+1 kids and all that going on in their homestead? Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they do it.
And Ridge Life said, we've seen it. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know
Thank
how
you,
they do it. They're obviously very busy. Is the farm your entire business, or do you work besides that?
We have a family business that we work at in town, so that allows us to stay in Mississippi. But I would say I always tell people we farm full time in a part time way. I mean, we pretty much, I usually milk anywhere from 4 to 4:30, just depending on what day it is. As before we went on this live, we were outside and Misty was trying to finish up on some bread that she was making, trying to finish up on some gardening she was doing, and watering the greenhouse. So I was moving pigs literally right before we went on with the trial run a while ago. So
we look so fresh because we both had to have a shower before we
just
come
got
home
done with pigs and greenhouses.
I mean, Colby works like a 8 to 5 job, and then we farm before and after those hours, and that's just the way we've chose to do it.
Okay. Do you mind sharing what you do in your 8 to 5?
We basically do a family ministry here in our town, and so it's kind of a family thing that we've done, my father and I, and we've owned it for about 15 years, 16 years. So we enjoy it. It's a way that we can serve the community. So it's been good for us. We love it, and we know that it will be here probably, and that's what will keep us here in Mississippi. If something ever happened, we would probably be in East Tennessee. But I think that we're happy here, and our family's from here, so we'll probably stay here.
Okay. Well, I was just curious if you were working at McDonald's or something like that.
Sometimes I think my stress level would be better if I worked there. So sometimes my days could be stressful, but that's okay. That's okay. Farming is like therapy for us. I tell Misty all the time, bees. Even though bee stings are terrible and I'm allergic to them, bees are therapy, and sometimes my cows can be therapy as well. So it's always good to get away.
Well, you got stung in the face, didn't you? Your eye or something?
I did. I got stung. Misty, they always laugh at me when we go out there. Misty can go out there and the kids can go out there and never get stung. I can walk by them and I can get popped. But
his eye swelled shut for
right there on
a
the
good
right
2
brow.
days, and then it finally went down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
We don't have that kind of reaction to stings.
I do badly.
Like Colby has pretty bad reactions, but if myself or one of the kids do happen to get stung, like for example, they like to come to our saltwater pool in the back, and Jennings was just running by and one had just landed and he accidentally stepped on him. He doesn't know, but it stung him because he stepped on it. But we don't have those kind of reactions. I think that was the first time he had ever gotten stung, though. But he did not have any kind of bad reaction at all. But Colby always has a bad reaction.
Wait a minute. You said saltwater pool?
Do what now?
You said a saltwater pool?
Yes,
We
so
do.
The bees love to drink out of the saltwater pool.
We have one setup. One of our apiaries is right by our house, and they love to feed off our saltwater pool.
And they don't bother us. They'll
not at all.
come and they'll drink the water and they'll land beside the pool, but they don't bother us. The Italian bees are not an aggressive bee by any means. But if you step on one or you swat one, then they're going to get you.
So is that the filtration system?
The saltwater filtration, yes.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. We have a lake, and we, of course, don't treat our bees in any way. But it's funny. They'll go to we have one of our apiaries is right by our lake, so they kind of feed off it. But one of our apiaries is right by the house, and so I guess they've made their our saltwater pool their lakes. I don't know. It's funny. You'll actually see about 15 to 20
at any given time.
They're the upper class.
Mandy from Royal Amethyst, her pool is a saltwater pool.
Saltwater pool?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's almost too hot down in the south not to have some way to cool off.
We can't swim in our lake here. I'm not saying we've never have, but here we have alligators and moccasins that are bigger than us. So we try to stay away from those.
We actually put a little clip on one of our videos of a guy who come and got one of the alligators that was getting kind of friendly with us. He was making himself, how would you say it? He would like to approach us. So we would mosey on out, and then we decided he might need to go.
Yeah, he was a little too big for our lake.
So we had him caught by a licensed guy from our area, and we put a little clip of that on one of our YouTube videos.
Are they protected in your area?
They are. So for instance, what was so funny, last year when we were getting some deer plots ready around our lake, we were bush hogging and we backed up, and one was in a nest that was close, and she was a female, so she was very aggressive, so she actually got on top of the bush hog, actually scared us to death. She was about 6 foot. So what we figured out was that she had eggs there. So since they're protected, we had to leave that alligator and all her eggs there.
And let those babies hatch.
And let them hatch and come out on our lake. So we could not do anything with her. Now, we had a big male was the one we got, he was about 8.5 foot. So we were able to get him out. But the female and all the babies.
Yeah, we were thinking he was closer to like 4 or 5. But then when the gentleman actually got him, he said, yeah, y'all underestimated him just a little bit. Huge. He's bigger. And we said, well, every time we see him, we just kind of, we make our exit.
Well, I was going to say, with the bush hog there, you just make an omelet or something, huh?
Well, I tell you, I don't know if I made a mistake. I don't know if I want to say that, but we probably would have dispatched it if it would have came any closer, because again, for safety of us.
Oh yeah.
But we want to do the right thing, so we called. We have a good friend that's over the fisheries, and so we called them, and they said yes, we got to leave that one because of the eggs, but we can go and get the big one out of there. So we got the big one out of there, which is the one that pretty much if our dog went out, Hattie Mae, y'all know Hattie Mae is about 150-pound Great Pyrenees, and if she got out on the dam of the pond, she could just run across the pond. That alligator just seemed to kind of follow her everywhere she went.
No
so we just thought it was time to get the alligator out of there.
Wow.
The question here for you for Misty: do you homecraft, knit, sew, crochet, embroider, paint, anything like that?
Any crafting?
I like to sew. I have a sewing machine, but my sewing since probably shortly after Harley has become to only alterations because I just don't have the time. But I do really enjoy sewing, but most of that is just alterations at this stage in my life, and it's not going to probably get any slower for a few more years with number 6 on the way.
Till they get older. Fancy Farmer is asking, how many alligators have you had since you've lived there?
When we had Mike and Jenny Pratt come down last year at Deep South, and we had 2 then, and we made jokes about it with them. That's how I know we had those 2. We had another, so we've had 5 total. We had 1 before that, so we had 2 this last year, so we've had 5 total that we know of. And I think we're in a low area. If y'all know anything about South Mississippi, we have a river called the Bogachita, and it goes from Mississippi and kind of goes into Louisiana and kind of comes back out at kind of close by Deep South. But it kind of starts in our area, so we're a low area. So we tend to see a lot of moccasins and some alligators, especially as they start getting into that river and kind of making their way towards the Mississippi and the Gulf.
Wow. Do you hunt? I mean, do you find time for that?
We do. I don't get to hunt as much as I'd like. The last 2 years, it's funny because when I didn't get to hunt as much, I killed more. Now that I'm trying to hunt more, we deer hunt, and of course we can hunt. We've hog hunted too, but we do deer hunt, and we if we see a feral hog, we'll also dispatch it too. We've killed a few hog here and some deer.
Well, they're always good. And I'm also guessing that armadillo is probably a common animal in your area.
It is. We see a lot of possum and a lot of armadillo. What's so funny is a possum, our dog will run a fox, will run anything off, but a possum can come up and sit at the back door. It won't bother it. But it'll run any other kind of animal off. I guess it doesn't feel threatened by the possum, but we do have a lot of armadillo, a lot of possum.
Darn. So what do you guys do for entertainment? Do you have something you like to do as a family? You go out every other week and go to the Dairy Queen or something, or
we hang out on the farm.
Yeah, we pretty much are homebodies. We're pretty much introverted, so like we love movie nights. So we'll have movie nights here and make popcorn, and we're big on trying to make donuts. The kids love make homemade donuts, so we'll make homemade donuts. And Misty is excellent at making homemade ice cream with the dairy milk. So we're really homebodies, wouldn't you say? I mean, every once in a while we'll go and do something, but pretty much we like to be home. And
did you build your house?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Did you build your house?
What we did is we built our house. We actually had a buddy who did some carpentry work, so we subcontracted the whole house ourselves. We became the contractors for Mississippi. If you're in Mississippi, you don't have to be a contractor to do your own house. So we were able to subcontract all our house out, do a lot of the work ourselves.
That was a lot of fun.
I would probably never do it again, but we did get a lot done and had great pride in it because we pretty much did it the whole house ourselves and designed it our way.
So did you make it big enough? Did you make it big enough?
The laundry room? No. Does anybody ever have a laundry room big enough, though?
Well, I imagine you have a fair amount of laundry at present, only to increase here shortly.
Oh,
Absolutely.
We do. Misty, that's probably one of her biggest complaints daily is laundry.
I can't get them washed, dried, folded, and put up before my basket is full again.
Oh, there no doubt. I can't even imagine. Fancy Farmer's asking, what's your favorite part of your house?
Our great room. So we did a homestead, we did a farmhouse and homestead tour not long ago. And right in our front door is attached to our dining room, our living room, and our kitchen. It's one great room. There are no walls. So we really enjoy that room. I can see what the kids are doing, what they're playing with or getting into, what they're watching or what kind of gaming they're on. So it's very nice because it's, like I said, my dining room, my living room, and the kitchen are all one big room. It's open with no walls, and that's definitely our favorite.
That would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice. That's real similar to what Stivers is like. Theirs is open like that also. Yeah, makes it nice. Oh, Fancy
Well, it allows
Farmer, you
us
ask
being
as many
homesteading
questions
and
you want.
homeschooling. It makes it easier.
Yeah, Fancy Farmer, you ask as many questions as you want. I will make a suggestion to put them in all caps. That way, if the chat starts going and I don't see it, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to watch the chat and interact with our guests also. So, are you testing to make sure the lines work? because nobody's calling?
Mhm.
Well, I don't know where Ahmed is tonight.
I don't either.
I don't know. Gosh. So yeah, just put your questions in all caps, and if they don't catch them, we'll catch them. Okay, question for everyone. Sweet tea or plain tea?
Sweet tea here.
We don't know what real plain tea is, so sweet tea, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
You go to a restaurant in the deep south and you ask for tea, you're getting sweet tea.
Yeah, I was
It's
going to
gonna
say.
be cold and ice.
Yeah, I don't think there's an option. What would you like to drink? Tea? That's what you get.
That's right.
That's why I'm ready to go. That sounds like it works, Daryl. No, Brenda, the pizza's not ready yet. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Jessica, sweet tea. Exactly. And now see, Sean in Alaska prefers plain tea. And Daryl, if Daryl had his druthers, especially hot tea, he doesn't want any sweetener or sugar in it.
Okay, and we've got somebody on the line here, so let's see who we have.
See there, you tested it and somebody calls in.
This is Daryl. Who's calling,
Hello
please?
there.
Hello.
Hey, Daryl. Hi, the Max Happy Homestead.
Hey,
Hey, how
It's
are
your
you?
number one fan, Grammy
I was
Karen.
going to say, I know that
hey,
voice.
Grammy Karen.
Oh, what a sweet couple. I'm so glad you had them on tonight.
Yeah, they're a fantastic young couple. We're happy they could join us, as busy as they are.
Oh, my
Hey, we're glad to be
gosh, I
here.
know it. Between homestead, homeschooling, having a baby on the way, good Lord, they do a lot.
We're
So I
thankful to
wanted
be
to ask
able
a
to do it.
question.
Okay,
Do
go
what?
go ahead.
So everything seems so perfect in their family unit. I just wondered what the biggest challenge on the homestead is. Because everything seems like it just rolls right off and falls into place. There's got to be some kind of challenge.
For me, it's probably time management. Probably just trying to get everything done. And like the other day, for example, some things I just have to laugh about because we are in the process of potty training Jennings, and he's almost 2. So I'm, of course, running around doing what I'm always doing and trying to get stuff put up. And I look over in the corner and I just stopped and sent a message to Colby and said, look what I found on the floor, and it's not chocolate. So I had to stop and clean all that up. So for me, the toughest thing is probably time management with just my little distractions, which I'm most definitely not complaining because I'm very thankful to have each and every one of my children. But that's probably the hardest thing for me is just time management. Because I do have to stop a lot and do other things. That's just one example. He really likes the shaving cream and several other things too that cause really big messes. So that's probably my toughest thing.
Little boy.
That's right.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
you sure are flexible, and it shows, and that's really great.
So
But Colby didn't answer.
I'm supposed to answer. I would say
You're on the
probably for
spot,
us,
Colby.
it's just balancing homesteading with, of course, our family. We love doing it together, but at the same time, I don't want to ever make our kids feel like they have to do something or have to be on the farm working. So we want to balance out the fun of being together as a family on the farm, but at the same time, let the farm not rule our lives to a point where we can't have good times with the children too. So that's what we really try to do. Like last night, we were swimming with the kids at dark at 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and we do the ice cream nights and the donut nights because we want the kids to see the importance of spending our time together. And so we enjoy farming, but at the same time, we want to make sure that our kids understand the importance of being together, and that's why we really do what we do.
And that's what makes you a beautiful family. So that's it.
Absolutely. It's all about the family, for sure.
Yep. Well, I just wanted to say, hey, you know, I'm your number one fan, so you all
We
take
thank you
care,
so
and I'll
much,
let
Grammy
somebody
Karen.
else call in.
Thank you.
We love you.
Thanks for calling, Grandma
We
Karen.
love y'all.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Karen.
Bye, Grammy Karen.
All right. So we know it works now. So everybody else, you're welcome to call in. Number scrolling across top of the screen. You have to enter the meeting ID and password. Just follow the prompts. It'll prompt you as to what to do. And they don't bite. You can talk to them, and they don't bite. They're not like the alligators.
True.
Yeah.
So do you have gators or crocodiles? What do you have?
Alligators.
Alligators.
Okay. And what is the difference?
To be honest with you, the alligators, to me, of course, they look different and they get a little bit bigger, so they got a wider snout. But well, we've always learned alligators, unless you mess with them, they really don't mess with you, and they're pretty much like a snake. They're not going to come after you. Now they may go after our dog, but they're pretty gentle as long as you don't mess with them. We just ran over her nest, and that's why she became more aggressive. What we've seen with crocodiles with people is they're a little bit more aggressive. So, you know, if we were not fishing down there a lot with our kids, we really would not care about the alligators being there because they really don't cause any issues for us. But Aiden loves to go fish, and we fish too, but especially with him going down there, and sometimes he'll take his cousins or his sisters, we don't want any dangers there, especially with the gators or the snakes and things like that. So when we see them, we try to get them out of there, dispatch them the best way we can.
Sure. Absolutely. I understand gator is pretty good to eat.
They make good purses.
A lot of people eat the gator tails for sure. So
Yeah.
Purses and shoes. Or is
Purses
that
and shoes.
crocodiles? I don't know.
It's very common in Louisiana for sure, as far as eating the alligator.
Oh, is it? I didn't. When you say it's very common, are you just talking people? Or are you talking is it available in restaurants there? Or
Yes, it's actually available in local restaurants here, but you're not going to see it on the menu as much here as you would. I would say like every restaurant in Louisiana is going to have alligator or something.
we have about 3 or 4 restaurants in our town that offer some form of alligator.
I'll pass. They want to know when the baby is due.
I'm due Christmas. So it's actually a few days after Christmas, but the end of December. So between Christmas and New Year's, we will be getting an extra little gift.
We don't know what it is yet, so we're going to take bets on a live one day and see.
Oh, there you
And I hope
go.
we win a pile of money.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Sydney, Naked Gardener said they had some gator tacos in Texas this past weekend.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of people do gator balls here, and what they'll do is actually just take it and almost make like a boudin out of it, and they'll mix it with rice and then deep fry it. That's very common in our area.
I see Sunny's place is stating that they thought crocs were only in Australia, but I thought there were crocodiles in the U.S.
There are. There's some definitely in the Florida area. We don't have a lot of crocodiles here, but in our areas, there's more gators than anything.
And then we have some smart Alex in here. We got Brett and Sydney saying, I bet it's a baby.
But it's a baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because they said they don't know the sex of the baby yet. They go, I think it's a baby. Yep. Have to have 1 or 2 in every crowd.
And Grammy Karen wants to know if you're going to have a virtual baby shower.
Grammy Karen,
I don't think we're planning on it.
But that's a good idea that the homesteading community might need to plan one of those, Grammy Karen. What do you think?
That's very sweet.
Thank you so much. We hadn't really thought about it, to be honest with you. We have like 20 kids, so we never really have showers anymore. Nobody wants to have a shower for us.
And that's okay.
Geez, with all your kids, you need a deluge.
That's right.
The storm is coming in. So tell us about your garden.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start. So we raise our main garden is right at 10,000 square foot. We also raise about 10 to 12 raised beds. And then we have 2 other little gardens by the house. So
and the greenhouse.
Yeah, in the greenhouse. So we have a lot of gardening. This time of year is very, very busy for us. Mississippi tends to not have the best spring. It goes from just kind of winter to summer. But this year, I know all this COVID crazy stuff going on, but we actually had a spring. So our garden has been phenomenal this year.
Yeah,
probably the best garden we've ever had.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would be willing to say we've definitely got the most produce all the way around this year.
Absolutely. We can easily, our gardens easily give us enough sustainable vegetables for the year. I know we may want something different, like we can't hardly grow certain things in our area, but as in just the things we grow, we can pretty much put up for the year even too.
And we did do something new this year with, we silage tarp the entire garden area that we did not have fall things planted, and removed all of that in different sections to rotate the pigs, the chickens. We rotated them through, covered it back up with tarp, like when we would move them. And then we spent a great deal of time prepping before we planted this year with cardboard, deep mulch, compost, weed barrier, and we have seen amazing results from that. We have different video footage showing where we did the tarps last fall, where we pulled it back and prepped the ground, and then now how our things have grown, and we have very, very, very little weeding to do. And considering our size garden spot, grass will take over, especially in the south, in like overnight.
Right.
So for us to have, we could go through a whole garden, walk up and down the rows, pick the pieces of grass that would pop up in 15, 30 minutes at a maximum. And still today, I was out there cutting okra and just very little grass. So that to us was like that was a huge thing for us this year. We will continue to do that method. We've seen amazing results and cannot speak highly enough of silage tarps, and that weed barrier control. We've had amazing results with that.
Well, if you would, that's enough of a different technique. Can you just explain it just a little bit better? I mean, the term I'm sure is new to a lot of people. This silage tarps, and
so we do when we prep a garden space, and we did some prepping in our yard area where our chickens were. So when we start a raw piece of land, we will use animals to do it. So we'll bring in chickens to kind of start the process, pigs to actually do our tilling, so because they'll take the grass up, then bring the chickens back in to kind of smooth it all out. Once that process is done, we'll silage tarp it and let it rest. So we've got natural fertilization, natural nitrogen back in the soil. Then we actually take the...
And we try to do that for a whole season.
Yeah, for a season.
So like if we were going to prep an area to plant, say we were going to do that in spring, we would keep it silage tarp until the following fall, and then we would plant in it. So we would give that seed, the grass seed, time to die.
Yeah, the silage tarp in the south, what it's doing is we buy UV tested silage tarp. So what they're doing is they're heating up that ground so hot that here we have Bahia grass, which is a great cattle grass and a great hay grass, but it can take over. So what we do is we'll put that silage tarp down, we'll let it basically just ferment the ground, and then what we do is we do the back to Eden method. So we'll come in with biodegradable cardboard, or either cardboard paper. We'll place pine bark mulch or either hardwood mulch, whatever we have available, on basically the walkways, and then we'll come back and actually put compost and topsoil on where we're actually planting. Once we get done with that season, we do a chop and drop to add more compost back into the soil, but then we cover up. So where our spring is now coming to an end, we will actually chop and drop all our peas, all our beans, and pretty much they'll lay there. We'll silage tarp it once more, And
It'll
then that
rest
way,
until next year.
that's right.
And then the area that we have covered now
Will be our fall.
we'll pull all of that back and prep that for fall garden.
Absolutely.
So what is the material that is used as a tarp?
We use basically we always say this. Plastic is something we try not to use in our house, but we use these silage tarps. They're UV tested. They're actually from Farmer's Friend. We buy ours from Farmer's Friend. They do what we want them to do because ultimately then we're not using the gasoline, the petroleum, and also ourselves to do all the tilling and the groundwork. So what we found is that if we use the biodegradable cardboard and then come back and put the chop and drop there, the silage tarps are not even rested really on what we're planting in, but what it does, it just puts the heat on it to make it where it kills everything underneath, such as the bad vegetation, which are weeds, and then of course some of the insects that we actually don't need there. So it does make a great breeding ground for earthworms and good spiders, and of course all the things that actually help our ground to be more fertile.
So, but it's a plastic then.
It is. It is a plastic. You have to be careful what kind of plastic. We use a 6 mil UV tested silage tarp. And the silage tarp, the old name for silage tarp is, in our area when we had a lot of dairy farms, if they were putting up silage for winter for the cows, what they would do is take these big old silage tarps and put over their silo areas and silage areas. And so we took the same concept, and all we're doing now, instead of fermenting the corn stalks that the farmers used to for cows, we just ferment the ground that we chop and drop down. And of course, that makes it more fertile for us to have for next garden season.
Okay, so who is the one that plans the garden?
We both pretty much do. Misty her focus is more the seed starts and the greenhouse. Mine's probably more of designing where we're going to plant, just because I know what we planted where last year. But we're pretty much both very detailed people, so we really try to have a plan before we start executing. We used to just fly the cuff, but once we realized how much time and devotion we put in our garden, we just started really focusing on Misty does more seed starts, gets it all ready to go, and then I'm pretty much knowing where it's going to go, and then we work as a team pretty much all the way through it.
Except for Jennings swapped up my seed starts this year and took the little flags out. So we have some squash zucchini, squash and zucchini all planted together. But that was like a, Jennings, what are you doing? And it's too late. He already had them all mixed up. So
he had fun with it. And I guess everybody did. So
question was asked, do you have issues with snakes under the silage tarps?
Not on the silage tarp, and the reason being, I'm not saying, I mean, you may have spiders. The silage tarps get so warm underneath that a snake is typically not going to be under there. I'm not saying it won't, but we have not had any there. Now, I will say this. We are in an area, again, that has a lot of snakes. So when we were prepping our area, there was no snakes in our garden. However, when we were going to cut around and kind of get everything ready,
some around the outside, but not actually under the silage tarp.
When we started our garden season, we probably killed 3 or 4 snakes just the day or two before we actually planted.
That was outside of the, not actually under.
And I take it these were not the good snakes; these were the bad snakes.
Bad snakes. These were, I think, 2 were copperheads, and 1 was we didn't know. We didn't give it a chance to find out what it was. So.
So what's your favorite thing to grow?
What would you say?
Mine's probably peas and beans. Some of my favorite things to eat, but they're also down here in the South, they're really easy to grow. So with really little, I won't say little work, but to me, they're not as, I don't feel like we have to baby them as much as you do. Like your tomatoes, you're constantly tying them up, and like your peas and beans down here are pretty hardy, and that's probably what we eat the most of anyway. So I would definitely say that's my favorite.
If I was to pick, I love fall gardening more than any gardening period. Now, like Misty said, peas grow great down here. We love pink eye purple hull. We grow a mess load of them every year. This year being just astronomical. But if I was to say, I love fall gardening, so anything that grows in the fall, we love lettuces and things like that. Our goal is to grow more and more each and every season and try to learn more from it. But I like lettuces if we're talking fall and winter, and probably peas if it was spring and summer.
And fall garden seems to be the easier of the two for us because there's not as many bugs and insects, and the weather obviously is a lot nicer than like when I went out to pick today and you walk in and you're literally dripping sweat. So the weather is a little bit easier to handle as well. Mm-hmm. So we have to water a lot in the summer as well as far as the garden goes, because by the time July and August gets here, it's so hot. If you don't water almost daily, or if it doesn't rain, you'll lose your things very quickly because it gets so. It's amazing how we're hot here in South Mississippi. So for us, when we get to this time of year, we're pretty much played out of our spring. I mean, we're finishing up on peas, we're finishing up on okra, our tomatoes, our first set. Not okra. Well, not okra, excuse me, squash and zucchini. I'm sorry. So a lot of our other stuff is starting to play out. So all that stuff, we're fixing to do a chop and drop on those, and then we'll start our second set of peas literally next week. We just started our pumpkins. So a lot of those things where most people are just now starting to get their crops in or starting to see vegetation start, we're kind of coming to a close on our main spring and summer gardens.
Wow.
So
we've got
down here for us.
We've got another caller here. Hello, this is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
Lynn from Lindoki.
Well, hi. Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was wanting to ask after this one, are they planning to have any more kids?
Have any more kids?
Well, we're not sure. This one was not planned.
None of ours has really been planned.
Yeah, none of them have really been planned. So we're not really sure. We kind of felt like this was just a surprise that God gave us. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
She would probably say no. She could say it.
Well,
definitely not in our future plans, but
Colby,
that's one of those things for us that has been hard to call.
Colby, I can let you know what causes that.
I know. My wife is probably going to set me up with an appointment right after this baby.
I've already threatened him several times, actually. But he's a bear, and I can't drag a bear, so unless I can tie him up.
That's too funny.
Aiden is getting, Aiden, our oldest, is now 12. He'll be 12. So we laughed when we were kids, younger kids, and planning all this stuff. We were thinking we're not going to have kids where we have some as a senior and some as just starting kindergarten and homeschooling, and that's about where we're at. So that pretty much wraps us up there.
So when Aiden is a senior, I will be starting over with kindergarten with this baby. And that's, I won't say we made fun of people, but we used to would say, that ain't going to be us, or we're not going to do that.
And we're there.
And we are there, so.
Hey, at least y'all ain't starting over when the kid's 18.
Starting over when they're 18.
I don't know.
Yeah. I have a cousin that he started over when his oldest was 18.
Oh, wow. Well, we definitely feel like, God creates life, and we do know what causes that, but we can't actually create life, and we know that He's the creator of life. So we have definitely been gifted multiple times with God blessing us with new life in our home. So, hopefully when Aiden is 18, we won't be in that boat. But
I don't know.
Hopefully not. But He's the creator of it all. So
that's why we believe in homesteading so much, though. So we have our homeschool. We love that. We believe that's a big part of our homestead. But that's why we raise so much meat and so much vegetables, just because we know that we want to make sure as much food that's providing for our family and sustainability is here on our farm. And 2020 is a big year for that for us. We have one of our cows are going next week, or no, 2 weeks away. We're on our third chicken butcher for the year. Gardens have been wonderful, and we'll have a few pigs going by the year end too. So we're really seeing a great surplus there, and that gives us encouragement, especially with our children. So.
Well, and you have a large enough property you can do that.
Definitely. We our homestead again is 30 acres, but we actually our cows are about on 8 acres of that, and then our pigs are in our forest, so they're underneath our pine. So we're able to utilize our land as much as we can, and we allow our cows, we allow our pigs and our chickens and our turkeys and all that to really help us fertilize the land by what they're eating and then, of course, what they're dropping. So that helps our land grow, and our pigs are prepping the next spot for pastures as the pines come down. Our sheep are grazing on the backside of our property where our cows can't. So we really try to utilize our property the best way we can, because if we're not using it, then we feel like we're not. It's been abused. So our goal is to make sure we're utilizing the best way we know how.
And where have you picked up this knowledge to farm in this fashion?
I don't know. I don't know where our knowledge comes from. I don't know if we call it knowledge or just learning from mistakes.
Trial and error, yeah.
We love. I grew up in a family that gardened a little bit, but that's about the extent of it. Me and Misty were married in 2006, and we started gardening and had a few little chickens here and there, but it seems like every year we'd pick up something new and try to get our gardens bigger and try to learn a little bit more. But I know most people, of course, know Joel Salatin, but we really started to learn a lot from him.
I was just going to say, definitely others, have played a big role in us, and we hope, and that's kind of what we hope to do is maybe someone who is new to this or doesn't know anything or that's wanting to learn, that we will be able to teach them what we know or what we have experienced and our failures and then our huge success, like we would say with the silage charts in the garden. And that was a huge benefit for us, to be able to teach others, because we were taught, we had to learn from somebody. We watched and listened to and sought out advice from others. So we want to be that for other people as well.
Well, it certainly rings of a Joel Salatin type of environment. At least it seems that way to me.
Definitely. When we went to Polyface, we love to see what Joel's doing, and so we take it and we put it on a scale that makes more sense for a small homestead. So
right.
What we try to do and show in our videos and people, like we're speaking at an event next week, is that even though you may work a full-time job, especially if you're trying to provide for your family and your wife, if she's home or not, you can do all this with just a little bit of time, as long as you set it up correctly. Everything that we do, we've learned by some mistake. I mean, like for instance, moving pig. Our pig moving used to be hours and stress and hard. Well, the way we've got it set up now, that rotation for our pigs is every 2 to 3 days, and it's something we can do within 15 or 20 minutes. Wow. Same way with our sheep and our cows. And so we've learned what we can do better, but usually it's from mistakes that we've picked up along the way, or either through getting knowledge and wisdom from people like Joel Salatin or whatever it may be.
So did either one of you have to go through the trials of naming your animals and then having to dispatch them? And
that's why their cattle is ABCDE.
That is an OCD from Cole.
I'm very OCD. No, we have one daughter who, our middle daughter, which is Eliza. If y'all know, she's the blonde-headed one. She, the chickens. Once we did chicken butchering, she looks at her chicken a lot different. Now our other kids are pretty. Aiden's pretty. I mean, he's our farm chore manager, so he pretty much feeds all the animals daily. Harley kind of gets in there. She's our oldest daughter. She helped us, last butcher. She really got into it.
She asked to gut.
Yeah,
she wanted to help gut.
Wow.
So we're starting to see a lot more. It depends on,
She's 8.
They made a comment the other day when they knew that Ike, which is our beef cow that's fisting to go to, our beef steer that's fisting to go to butcher. One of them made the comment the other day, and they're like, I hate to see that happen. But then again, they'll eat a hamburger in a second. So I think that they'll get over it. They're pretty good about it. They know what their purpose is on this farm. So.
Okay, we have two questions here. One is, what grow zone are you in?
Zone 8B.
Zone 8B.
And why do you raise sheep?
Why do we have the sheep? The sheep are Katahdin sheep. We were looking for another ruminant animal. The one thing about the sheep is the sheep can spread their manure over and fertilize a field way better than a cow can, because they're dropping massive loads. The cow's dropping 50 pounds in spots, whereas the sheep are kind of spreading theirs around. So we were looking for ways to make our grass be groomed without having to bush hog it. So they're on a piece of property. If y'all watch our videos, they're on the very back corner of our property. And that, other than that, we were having to bush hog that area. So now we have the sheep. The sheep are doing that. There's not a lot of people in our area that have hair sheep. So it's an investment for us to be able to sell some of the lambs and little ewes that we get. But really more than that, I just think they're pretty. I actually like them. We're not goat people. And it was hard for us to figure out how to keep goat in and actually really make money off them and make sense for us with goat, because really the pigs are doing what most people would use goats for, which is cleaning out under woods. So the sheep were just another way for us to put a smaller ruminant animal on an area to clean it up where we're not using tractors to bush hog.
Well, and he says that he's going to butcher one off.
Yeah, so we're going to butcher them and eat them too.
Now, I have never actually eaten sheep.
She has, she just doesn't know it.
Well, I'm talking about like besides like lamb chops and stuff like that. Like I've never actually had like lamb chops or anything like that. I've never cooked it. As far as not.
We have ground lamb.
Ground. We have ground. We have bought ground before, but not like lamb chops.
Right.
But anyway, but that is the main purpose. He said all that, but the main purpose is they will be
food. Yeah, most of all our animals have a purpose. So we have males on, every animal has a male on the farm or two, because the goal is we want roosters breeding to make new chicks. We want rams to make more ewes. We want boars to make more piglets. We want bulls to make more cows. So we try not to have any reason to come off our farm to make sustainable livestock.
Right.
So
even down to the meat birds. This last set of meat birds, we have the Red Rangers, which I will raise and incubate those eggs. Because the thing with the Cornish cross is they get so big so fast, they're not able to live a long life in the, what would you say, they just get so big so fast that their bodies cannot withstand that, and they will literally die if you don't kill them, is what I was trying to say. So they're not able to live for a long period of time, therefore they don't lay eggs. So we have bought another form of meat bird that's a little bit slow grower, and we will raise those birds up. They're not here yet, but they will be here in the next few weeks. And we will literally raise those up, and I will incubate those eggs and hatch those out so that we can also continue that process. It's just a level of sustainability for us that we feel like is needed here on the farm.
So do you share with the folks where you get your birds from? What hatchery or anything? Or
yeah, I'll tell you. We've ordered from several hatcheries, but to be honest with you, our meat birds have come from Purely Poultry. They have been a phenomenal hatchery for us. They've been spot on, and actually, after we ordered the first few from other hatcheries, which most commonly are known, and they've done good, but it seems like we've had a better hatch rate, a better quality bird, less death rate. Less death rate. With Purely Poultry. So, I mean, if anybody's buying,
been satisfied
we've been very satisfied with Purely Poultry.
Well, and I know that you speak very highly of Premier Fencing.
Oh, gosh, yes. We tried, I'm a cheapskate by nature, so we tried just about every kind of other fence because we found cheaper options. But what we always come through, we actually we rotate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Premier
Different-
One fencings
Right.
in a week. So those go with our sheep and with our pig and with our chickens and turkeys, and now of course with our meat birds. So we speak very highly of the Premier One fencing, because without it, I don't know how we would farm the way we farm.
Lynn, I see you're still here. I don't mean to leave you out of the conversation.
I was asking, why not goats?
Why not goats?
For us, we can't figure out a plan for our goats to, we don't eat goat. There are some people in this area that do eat it. Actually, we've talked to Mike Pratt about this because he started doing goat chilies and things like that. But for us, we couldn't figure out a way that we would want to eat goat more than we would want to eat cow or lamb. Also, on the ends of saying a ruminant, we have a lot more grassier areas that we need maintained, whereas a goat it's not like a sheep or cow where it can maintain itself strictly off grass. We were trying to stay towards things that can really be fully grass-fed. Also, medicine and worming and deworming and sickness. What we're trying to do is build a hardier farm and more organic farm, even for our animals. So we don't treat our animals. We do all preventative, natural, holistic, homeopathic treatments. And we couldn't figure that out with goats. And we're still struggling with sheep. We had to treat our sheep once this past few months.
We actually almost
lost two. So that was, and you can see some of those videos. If we get to the point where we're treating our sheep more than what we want, or treating them really on a deworming basis or 6-month increments, they will no longer be on this farm.
Right.
So the goats, our area is very humid.
They tend to be a little mischievous too, and we don't really have time for that. Like the pigs already gave us a run for our money, and had we not be huge pork lovers, they would have been gone, because when I say they gave us a run for our money, y'all, pigs are like goats in the sense of escaped convicts, like. So anyway, yes, goats tend to be a little bit more mischievous too. We really don't have time for that. But our sheep are very docile. There have actually been times where we have gone out where storms have blown through and either limbs have been down on the fencing, or the fencings have just completely been blown up.
They just stay there. And
the sheep are exactly where they're supposed to be. They're still in the fence. They will not cross over it. They don't even test it. So they are probably, except for the one time that they got the barber pole worms, they are probably our least complicated, complex. They're
low maintenance.
Low maintenance. That's what I was looking for. They're very easy to deal with, and that's what we need in our life right now.
We have a lot of friends that have goats. And, either they're always catching goats outside, or they're trying to deal with goats being sick.
Or the goats are sick.
It's for us, it just seemed like it was not in our plan, like it was the sheep or the cow or the pig or the chicken.
Well, do you have anything else for your that complement your chickens, like guineas? Or
do you have any plans on getting horses?
I told somebody no. Let me say this: no. However, if we come across a very old grandpa walking horse, I might talk my wife into it. I love a horse, but now there's not really a purpose for us to have a horse. I mean, just in all truthfulness, on our farm. However, if I could get one, I'd love to have an old grandpa horse that doesn't know how to do anything but walk around. Just because I like them. I think they're pretty.
They're beautiful, but they don't serve a purpose.
Yeah,
and they're another mouth to feed, and I say no.
And she's right. No. I mean, she's right, because if we can't, and I hate to say this again, but if we don't eat it, it's hard for us to justify it on the farm. Our dog needs to be a guardian dog.
And
our cat needs to be a barn cat that takes care of mice, and she does. I mean, he does. So both of those animals have a purpose. But for us, it's hard for us to justify pets more than them being more used for other things too. And it's horse, as much as I would love to have a horse like Misty said, the truth is we probably won't put one here just because if it's eating my grass, I'm mad because I really need the cows and the sheep eat my grass more than I need the horse eat my grass.
If your daughter ever wanted to do a barrel racing, what would you say?
I'm sorry, I lost you there. I couldn't hear.
I said if one of your daughters ever wanted to do barrel racing, what would y'all say?
We don't really have time for a lot of extracurricular activities. Now, our children, we do let them do things in season, and Colby's right, life skills has been really what we focused on here. They do take piano lessons. Aiden has taken karate since he was 5, and he's almost to a black belt. And our purpose, of course, there are those are skills that, of course, the girls can play piano well on into their, they can be older, they can play for weddings, they can play for churches, they can take that skill with them other places. And also with Aiden, he's taken karate for a lot of years, and he's learned a skill where he can defend himself if he ever found himself in a situation where he needed to do that. So they have played soccer in seasons. We have allowed them to play soccer in the fall season where things are not quite as hectic. But we do allow them to do things in season, but mostly our focus with our children is allowing them to be involved in things that will create a skill that they will be able to use for life.
And I mean, nothing against barrel racing or anything with horses. We do have a livestock area very, very close to us that has a horse arena, and that a lot of people do weekly. It's not a huge thing here, but it is offered. It just seems like even our 4-H does not move towards horses as they may move towards archery or towards cows. So it's just not as popular around here as it probably once was. Great question, though.
Okay, Lynn, anything else?
Yeah. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Bye.
Okay, well, thank you for calling. Thanks for
Thank
calling.
you.
Man. Okay. So all your kids, they're all homeschooled.
They are. They are.
So how are you? Is that something that you enjoy doing, or is this, or I guess where I'm going with this is that's a full-time job.
It is. I take the work there. We have homeschooled Aiden since he was 4, and he's in the 7th grade. So for many years now, we've homeschooled, and I actually stepped down from a nursing position that I worked at our local hospital for several years. But when we realized that we were going to have to make a decision on our children's education, we decided that the wisest thing for us would be for me to come home and teach our children. And we've used a BECA curriculum for all these years. And this year is going to be probably the most interesting because Aiden will be doing 7th grade. Harley is going to be in the 3rd. Eliza is going to be in the 2nd grade. Sayla's going to be in kindergarten. I'm going to have a toddler to entertain. And come 2nd semester, I will have a newborn. So our days are going to be a little bit longer in the schoolroom and probably a little bit more fun. Wow. So I am nervous this year about the 2nd semester because I know that I have a lot to be responsible for. So I'm pretty nervous about that. It's hard to juggle the weight of making sure that they know what they're supposed to know and entertaining the small children. That's definitely the biggest challenge. And this year is going to get a little bit more fun.
I absolutely know you're going to do fine.
It's going to be tad hairy.
You're going to do just fine.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sydney, the Naked Gardener, is asking, what would your today self say 10 years younger self?
My wife was a very independent person, and she still is. But if I would imagine for her, when she came home, when Aiden was young and knew that she wanted homeschool, that was probably the biggest step for her. And I think if she could go back, that would be a hard decision for her. Me personally, I would think. I guess
if you could tell yourself something, if you could tell yourself something 10 years ago, advice, what would you say 10 years ago to yourself?
I would say probably 10 years ago, I would push to try to not get political or anything like that, but try to do as much in the business world as possible. Even though we were doing a little bit of gardening, I would tell myself, quit being stupid, don't even try that. Just start gardening earlier and start learning homesteading earlier. We've been, I'd say, very aggressively homesteading for about 5 years. I wish we were doing it 10 years ago, strong like we are now.
Right.
Okay, and we have another caller, so let's find out who it is. It's a Daryl. Who's calling, please? Hello.
Claire? Hello?
Hello. You're on the air.
Hey, how are y'all doing tonight?
Just fine.
I did have one question for you. If you had any advice for beginning homesteaders, what would it be, and what would you say was the biggest mistake you made when you started out?
Don't bite off more than you can chew.
True. I think that what we learned was that the smaller you start and the little successes that you have will help you get stronger and more confident in what you're doing. When we first started growing gardens about 12 years ago, we grew this little patio garden that we would get like 5 tomatoes a season, 2 or 3 cucumbers, and enough beans to maybe do 1 meal for us. But it was those little successes and those little, wins that we would get that give us more encouragement for the next season. So, as we were telling someone the other day, if you're growing in grow bags and raised beds and pots, man, do it the best of your ability, because ultimately it's going to make you get even better and learn your soul, learn how to do things better. Our animals, we were making a video a while ago on pigs, and it's like pigs. I mean, when we first got pigs, they were a nightmare. It seems like everything went wrong. But it's those little wins as we started learning how to deal with pigs better. So now it's no challenge. So I'd say start small, like Missy said. Don't bite off more you can chew, and take your wins and really build confidence that way.
And even in the times that you may have a failure,
learn from it.
Learn from it. Don't let it discourage you and get you down. Just continue to press forward, and maybe look to do things differently the next time, and don't. Maybe just because it didn't go the exact way maybe you were hoping or you were thinking, don't give up. Just try again, and maybe try a different method or a different technique. Because things that, like, we're from the deep south, and things that are the way we do things down here are going to work differently than than somebody maybe like our friends the Pratts in Michigan. Or, like M.I. Gardner, we've watched a lot of his things, and maybe something that works well for them and their climate is not going to do so great down here for us. So we have experienced that before, where, we've done different things that we've learned from people in different areas, and then it was a total flop for us, and we had to say, okay, well, we just need to reevaluate. We're not going to give up. We're going to try it again, but we're not going to do it the same way. We're going to do it a different way this time.
Great question.
Thank y'all so much. So my other question would be, since y'all been living on your property for 6 years and you've been homesteading there for that long, if you could go back to the beginning, what is one thing you would change?
I would say better permaculture design. We've done very well, I think, lately with permaculture design. However, if we could go back, we would put our home probably more central to the land that we live on. Our home sits on the very east corner of our 35 acres. I wish if we could go back, we would probably put it closer to the lake, which is more central. It's just things happened at that point and just didn't happen. But if I could go back, it'd probably be our central located house in the middle of our 35 acres to build a better permaculture design. I think that would probably be my biggest, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not wrong in what we're doing, but like we were talking about our sheep, I'd love to have
so far away from us.
And see, our dairy cows would thrive on that grass. They have the most picturesque prairie grass in the world, but that's across 35 acres, and it'd be hard for me to walk cows at 4:30 in the morning from that side of the property. So it would probably be, we would probably put our house a little bit more centrally located in the 35 acres and make the permaculture design a little bit different. I would think that would probably be the wisest that we would have learned and wish we could have done a little bit better.
It's a great question.
Yeah, great question.
All right, my third and final question is, can I use your P.O. box to send you a baby gift?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You sure don't have to send anything, but thank you so very much.
Hey, we will find out in the first week of August. We will find out what the baby is. So we're super excited about that. Jennings is going to be turning 2. And we are going to have a little family get together, and he is going to be having a taco themed birthday party. And I have gotten a piñata. And when I go in for my scan, I will not find out what the baby is, but I'm going to be dropping the piñata off with some pink and blue confetti. And we're going to have a friend fill that, and the kids at the birthday party are going to bust it open. So we will all find out together what the baby's going to be.
That'll be so neat. Are you going to have a home birth or hospital?
It will be a hospital. We do not have a midwife within our area. The closest midwife to us is a little over 2 hours away. And I tend to progress really, really fast. So that's not really an option for me, especially with the midwife being so far away. I would love the idea of that. It's just not practical for us with not having a midwife close enough. I don't feel like she would make it. So,
well, Colby should be able to handle it.
Hey,
Colby, what?
He should be able to handle that.
Look at the look on his face.
If it comes down to it, I guess we will handle that. But it's going to be a choice to hopefully go to the hospital and handle that. I'd rather be drinking a cup of coffee after that versus trying to figure out what to do next. So.
If she had the baby at home, you'd need some whiskey after that.
You're right. Thank you so much, though. That is really, really sweet.
It is nice. When you're not gardening, what do you do to relax or have fun?
Probably swim. We like to spend, even though we're not gardening or doing a lot of farm things, we still like to spend a lot of time outdoors. Swimming, and just the kids like to play ball outside. When we're not doing things outside, we will relax inside. Every now and then we get to turn on the TV. The kids like to watch series of different things. Like we went through the British Bacon show, and we went through Bonanza series. But we have to do that over time because we just don't have a lot of time to just sit down and splurge on TV. We love to try to catch up on our friends and their YouTube videos, and so that's pretty much what we do when we're inside. If we're not actually doing something related to the farm, if we're not playing outside, then we like to flip on the TV and just kind of relax.
Do y'all have an orchard there? Any kind of fruit trees? And
we do. We have about 25 trees planted in our orchard, from peach to apple. It's probably our 2 biggest tree producers. Then we have a lot of blueberry with our bees. Our blueberries rock every year because of our bees. We have a plum tree this year.
This is the first year that our plum tree really, really showed out. Right. We had I put up a lot of plum jelly from our plum
we probably
tree
had, that tree probably put out hundreds of plums. And
we sold several pounds, and I put up probably close to 20 pints of plum jelly.
Then we ate a mess load of plums. So we do have an orchard. Really, it was kind of a byproduct of the bees. And now we've really this last 2 years, we've really tried to focus on how we can become better in our fruit. So we've got a huge strawberry patch that we just planted this year to really try to learn our strawberries, our berries more. We grow a lot of elderberry, of course, for tinctures and syrups.
Planted as well.
Right. So we really tried to expand on our fruit, more of an optional item for us to enjoy, whereas our gardens and our meat is more sustainability, to say those are things we want to have because of we got to eat. The fruit is something we can just enjoy. Not that we can't, have that sustainability, but our goal is for that is if it's jams or jellies or.
And our perspective over time has changed as well. How someone said if you could actually was mentioning on the phone, if you could do things differently, our perspective really has changed just over the past few years of not planting as much shrubbery or like maybe rose bushes, but really focus more on edible landscape. And that's been something that we've really focused on within the past 2 years. Now, we did plant several trees, like we mentioned, like the plum tree. Several of our blueberry bushes are 5 and 6 years old. So we're seeing, we're now reaping the benefits from that. But then a lot of our trees are still what we would consider baby trees because they're just a few years old. But, in the next several years, we will be able to reap the benefits from that. But our perspective has really changed on edible landscape as far as that goes.
I don't mean to interrupt anyone, but I have thought of one final question. Misty, do you ever plan on going back to nursing? And thank you for all you've given while doing that. The only reason I ask is because it's a career I've thought of going into, but I also want to homestead, and I know that it's very difficult to do both. I know you have a lot of kids, but like down the road, is this something you thought of going back into, or are you satisfied with what you're doing?
Well, the great thing about the options of being a nurse is you can do like when I decided that I needed to come home full time with the children, I still had the option with where I was working to do PRN nights. That means as needed. So I could go in on the floor and work half of a night shift. It would keep my skills up. It would give us a little bit of extra money. It did not conflict anything during the day. So I would go in at like 6 or 6:30. I would work till like 12 or 1. I still got enough sleep to where I could get up the next morning and homeschool the kids and do the chores and stuff that we needed to do. Now, with that being said, I had worked several years, so I did have some good experience under my belt. But I like that option. I don't do that anymore just because the circumstances of our hospital over the past probably, 2.5 years has changed so dramatically. A lot of supervisors and stuff that I worked under has been pulled to different roles and stuff like that. So the whole makeup of our hospital has changed a lot. So that kind of took me out of that opportunity, but there are still opportunities out there where you can do fill-in work as needed, whether it's at night. You have options to do that with the hospital, with the nursing homes, and you also have fill-in clinic with fill-in positions like at clinics and stuff like that will still maybe not require you to be there full-time. So you can do homesteading as well. Or you can do things like home health and hospice and different things like that, and even do those as needed. And really, you just kind of work your own schedule. So that's the great thing about nursing, is that the hours can be so flexible to what you need, and then you can still homestead as well.
Well, thank you guys so much. I love you all, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful night. And I look forward to seeing you later this week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling in.
Oh, of course. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for calling. And there's a question that's been floating out here. It says, what plant do you have the worst luck with?
Broccoli. I love broccoli. And we seem like because we're in the South and it's hot no matter what time of year, it's hard to keep broccoli from bolting. We can grow broccoli, but we tend to grow smaller heads. We can't grow a big floret. So
it just bolts so fast.
Yeah,
we
so-
are going to try a different variety this year of there's a guy that lives, he's pretty local to us.
he's a market gardener in this area.
Right, and he told us the variety that he uses and does well for him. Now, we do not use fertilizers or any type of chemicals or anything like that, so we're curious to see if the variety is going to do as well for us as it does for him, because we grow completely natural and organic. So we're curious to see if it's going to do as well. For me in the greenhouse, I have killed a whole bunch of thyme before. I love herbs. All of my other herbs have thrived, but for some reason, thyme is just does not do good for me.
You get Susie's? Do you have the squash borers where you are? They get Susie every year.
We do, but to be honest with you, we have not dealt with a lot of it here. A lot of people do, but I guess the way we grow, we've not had a lot of issues there. Our biggest issue is with our tomatoes. We have a lot of, bugs and things like that messes with our tomatoes. Of course, hornworms like everybody else does, but really the hardest thing for us to grow and to maintain, of course, is our tomatoes. We actually talked about this year. It's like they just
require so much baby and being so hot and humid.
We grew about 300 this year, and we probably are not going to do that anymore. I love tomatoes. I love them. I mean, especially Cherokee purples, but I think that's the ones that every animal and insect likes too. So I don't think next year we're going to baby them as much, and we're going to probably grow them close to the what we call Zone 1, which is our back porch gardens and things like that, and our greenhouse gardens. We're going to focus on probably doing tomatoes only there this next year, and then, put that all in peas and corn, because it seems like that's what we'd rather eat as a family anyway, because I'm about the only one that eats tomatoes raw, other than salsa.
I like to make a lot of pasta sauce, a lot of salsa, things like that, and that's really about the only way. I will slice one. I will take a slice of one and add it to my peas. But Colby will he can almost eat the thing raw.
Yeah.
I would rather mix it in with something. But then our family really, really does enjoy pasta sauce and salsa and things like that.
Daryl likes seasoning tomato soup and ketchup.
Wow.
Hey, I'm a huge. I could eat tomato alone or with somebody. It don't matter. I love them.
That's me. Salt shaker out in the garden, and I'm a happy camper.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
So, do you use any commercial fertilizer?
No,
at all?
We don't. Actually, it's funny because we start our gardens before anybody else. We work harder in our gardens than a lot of people around here, and we won't produce nearly as much as what they'll produce. But around here, triple 13, ammonia, triple 8 are very commonly used in our gardens, and 7 dust and things like that for insecticides. We don't use any of that. We use strictly our compost, and we'll use blood meal, bone meal, cottonseed meal, and some organic fertilizers that way.
Fish emulsion.
Kelp. Sea kelp has been a big one this year for us. We've enjoyed that. I think that's probably why our broccoli does not thrive, because it needs to come up quicker, and it bolts a little bit, sooner than later, just because of not doing a lot of conventional fertilizer.
So you're more preparing the soil prior to the planting, and then.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Our goal is to have the lasagna method build such a soil that it holds the water and the organic matter in there. So 5 years from now, our soil will be of better quality and hopefully growing bigger and better stuff each and every year that we go.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been a very interesting and entertaining evening. I think everybody everybody in here has learned a lot, and I
think the kids are still locked out because they haven't shown themselves.
I saw a head.
Oh, you saw a head?
I saw a head.
Okay.
There's one that's standing beside me. They're ready to be freed.
Oh, no doubt. They've been great. It's been an hour and a half. They've been great.
Yeah. So, no, we certainly appreciate you being here. I need to ask one more question. Have you ever thought about ducks? Now, that's for Morgan. He's not in here tonight, but Morgan Gold is our homesteader duck person, and I know that they eat the grass. So
we do. We have 5 ducks. They're basically like in our barnyard crew, what we call our barnyard crew, with our turkeys and our chickens. Our set of chickens.
We have 2 sets of chickens. One are our older.
3 sets of chickens, actually.
Well, I'm not talking about the meat birds. I'm talking about the layers. But we do have one set that is in a permanent section. They're kind of like our older girls. And that's just where they've always been. So they stay in that permanent fencing. But then I have a whole nother flock that I hatched out in February. And they are in Premier One fencing, and we have them with our turkeys and the ducks. I hatched those ducks as well. So we had some local people give us some duck eggs, some fertilized duck eggs, and I hatched those out shortly after I did the whole flock of chickens that we moved. So yeah, Colby said we just kind of have the turkeys, the ducks, and then the chickens that I hatched in February. They're kind of all in there together.
do you do any fermenting of veggies?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Do you do any fermenting of veggies?
We do fermenting. What we try to do with our diet, we try to eat a raw, a cooked, a ferment, and then a natural meat. So we do ferment, but it's more like kombucha. We don't do sauerkraut or nothing like that. We do our pickles, of course.
Lots of sourdough.
A lot of sourdough. So that's a lot of our fermentations, more of those. My kids and Misty probably are not the biggest vinegary eaters in the world, but kombucha is probably their favorite on fermentation.
Yeah.
So, and sourdough. We like sourdough too. So.
Okay. Any last comments, thoughts that you got for the folks out here? I'm not seeing anything come up out here. Colby, you got any last thoughts here? Or?
No, just encourage people to keep on doing what they're doing and keep growing. 2020, I think, has shown that people need to do as much as they can in growing and taking care of their farms and social and sustainability. If it's growing in a full bed in your yard or growing 10,000 acres, so just keep growing.
Well, and I do want to ask, because all of the events this year so far have pretty much been non-existent.
I agree.
But as far as we know, Life Conference, Doug and Stacy's is going to carry on, and there's one in Kentucky, and at this point, the
HOA is still on.
The HOA is still on. So, do you have plans to attend any of those?
We're not far from Deep South, so we were planning on going to Deep South. We had the Shindig. We've really gotten close to the event, BW. We were not going to be able to go to Shindig because we actually had a prior commitment at a speaking engagement we were supposed to speak at, talking about no-till growing. We were going to try to hit a few more this year. Our biggest issue is because we have a farm that is so extensive, it's hard for us to find people to milk a cow and to do the kind of moving of animals that we do. We plan on probably trying to go to HOA if they don't cancel it. I hope that they won't, but October seems like that's when a lot of our dairy cows come off and go into freshening up, so they're not really milking at that point. So we're hoping we can go to HOA if they don't cancel. We enjoyed Hootenanny last year. I don't know if we'll make another trip to Michigan anytime soon, because that's a long journey for us. But you never know. We always try to make as many as we can.
All right. Well, we hope to see you somewhere down the road. Sherry, anything?
Absolutely.
Nope.
Nothing else?
Nope. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, it's been a great evening, and folks, if you would, special thank you to our moderators. Pay attention to those, the people with the blue out there. They do a fabulous job. They help us out all the time, and also those people that have the little smudges behind them. Those are members of the of our Smudges Peoples group, and we certainly appreciate all them. They help us keep going. If you'd like to become a member, just click that join button down there below. And
Well, Sean in Alaska said he'll take care of the animals. Just ship them to him.
That's right. Absolutely.
So let me get this other screen up here. Next week, folks, we're going to have a big homesteading channel, I guess. Nature's Always Right is going to be our guest next week. So everybody have a wonderful week. And anything else, hon?
No, that sounds good.
All right. We'll see you all later. Take care, folks.
Thank
Happy
y'all so
homesteading.
much.